Black Friday is around the corner. So what I'm going to do in this tutorial is show you step by step how to create your own Black Friday promotional page on your own website. So this is the final page that we'll be designing in today's tutorial. Although this is mainly focused to like an e-commerce shop or e-commerce store because of these images I've used here. However, you can also adapt this layout and use it, in any sort of niche. So this is the final design. So as you can see here, I've mainly stuck to this dark theme, mainly the black background there, but I've also added some images there just to make it a bit more exciting. And also, as you've noticed here, this page does not have a header and a footer. So I'll also show you how to add that. Now, before we get started, this episode is made possible by divicake.com. Check out their huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link to that is in the description below. Also, if you want to learn how to design websites using WordPress, I have a WordPress mastery course. It's 100% free. It's had quite a lot of positive reviews, so check it out. The link again to that is in the description below. Finally, the tool that I'll be using today is Divi. So if you want to use this same tool to design awesome looking websites, I have a link to that in the description below. But here's the thing, I have a special bonus. If you buy Divi using my affiliate link, I will give you access to the Divi Blueprint course. Now, this is the course that teaches you everything that you need to know about Divi and web design to get you up and running. And if you have any problems or you have any questions, you can also ask me in the membership. Okay, so let's get started. Let me show you how to create this landing page. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to start off by creating a brand new page. So I'm going to come over here to new and then click on page. The other option is to actually go into your dashboard and create it that way. All right, so let's call this BF 2018. Okay, for Black Friday 2018. Next, we're going to come over here and click on use the Divi builder, and then we're going to go straight to the visual builder. Right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to build our page from scratch. So we're going to go ahead and click on build from scratch. Now you may notice that we have this ConvertKit opt-in here. I'm going to show you how to disable that because this came in from the previous tutorial that I did on how to create an opt-in page, a basic funnel, which has an opt-in page. So again, if you want to watch that tutorial, it's in the description below. Okay, so now that we have our page here, the first thing we're going to do is to add a single column. And in that column, we're going to add a text module. So I'm going to search for it and select it. So here we're just going to have some basic text. We're just going to call this get ready. Okay, we're going to come over here to design. So this is where we get to adjust our text, make it look the way we want it to look. So I'm going to come over here to text. We're going to change this from default to Poppins because this is going to be my font throughout this page design. Next, I'm going to come over here to my font style, make sure this is all caps, and we're going to make it a bit bold as well. So I'm going to go with, let's go with bold. And then over here, we're going to increase the text size to about, let's say 28. And then we're also going to add some letter spacing, just like that. Now, good rule of thumb here is when you're designing your page, make sure that you also go to these three screens. So we have our desktop, tablet, and phone. So by coming over here, you can just make sure that everything looks great on all devices. So for example, here in this case, I would reduce this a little bit on my tablet. And then over here on the phone, I think I will reduce the letter spacing just like that. Okay, so these are minor tweaks, but they make a major difference. Okay, so now that I have this all set, I'm going to scroll down here and make sure that this is centered. Right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead now and save. And then I'm going to come all the way to the bottom here and click this gear icon. So what we need to do here is to add a background color to this actual page. So I'm going to come over here to background, and then I'm going to select my background color. So I'm going to go ahead and add black, and then I'm going to save changes. Now, you know what? This opt-in here is really annoying me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish this page and then get rid of it. And then we're going to come back into our page. But if you are using Divi, don't worry about it. This opt-in does not come with Divi. Okay, so now that I've saved my page, I'm going to click on edit page. And then I'm going to scroll all the way down here. And here where we have ConvertKit, I'm just going to come over here and click on none. And then we might as well remove our header and footer onto this page. So what you need to do is to come over here on template and then make sure you click on blank. With that now, I'm going to click update. And then I am going to go back and view my page. So I'm just going to come over here, click on view page. Now we are back on our page, and as you can see, this is now all clean. Great. So now let's continue adding all our content. So I'm going to click on enable visual builder just to go back into our builder so we can continue building. Now the next thing here is to add more text. So I'm just going to duplicate this just to make things easier for me, and then go into the module settings. Right. So here I'm just going to say Black Friday 2019 or 2018. Okay, so that's our text there. I'm going to come over here and we are going to go into design, text. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to reduce the letter spacing to 0 actually, because I don't like the way this had the letter spacing here on the top. So this is a totally different design. So next I'm going to increase the size here, make it really nice and big. So we can even go as high as 100 pixels. So that is good. So it's already centered, which is great. So I'm going to come over here to my tablet and make sure that this looks great. So as you can see, the size here is way too small because it's taken the settings of the previous module. Okay, so here I think 58 looks great. And then on the phone, I'm also going to reduce this because I want this in a single line. So I think 36 will look great on that. Right, so now that we have that all set, I'm just going to come over here back on the text, and we might as well add some more text here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to highlight this text and make it a heading. So I'm just going to set this to say heading 3. And then I'm going to come over here to design, heading text, go to heading 3. We're going to make it all caps, of course. And then all I have to do now is to add line height, because that text there is way too close to Black Friday 2018, as you can see. Right, so 2 EM is, I think that's okay. In fact, I may increase this to maybe about 2.4. And then I need to make some adjustments here. So here on my font weight, I'm just going to make this bold. And then now let's go in and add our colors. Now, before I do that, actually, what I need to do here is to make sure I'm in the right tab. So I'm going to come back over here and go to my tablet and make sure that's looking okay. And as you can see here, Mega Sale is way too close to that. So I'm going to increase my line height again. And then on the tablet, on the desktop, that's way too close. So I am going to increase the size as well here to about, let's say, 46. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm going to go ahead now and save. Now on the top here, you can see we have this module, this text module. I want to go in and make some adjustments to that. So I'm going to click here. In fact, I don't have access to that. I can't really click on it. So I'm going to hold down the command key and then just mouse over this area here. And as you can see here, this is how I get to select it and then go into this gear icon. Okay, so now we have our text here. Get ready. I'm going to come to design, and then I'm going to come over here to spacing, and we are going to add a bottom margin. So here you can see as I'm adding this, I'm increasing my space there on the top. Right, so that looks good. Now, these colors that we have here by default, don't worry about that, because what we're going to do is we're going to go in and turn it all into white once we add our background. So the next thing I'm going to do here is to just come over here to the margin and to this little icon and make sure that things are looking great on the tablet and the phone. So as you can see here on the tablet, the space is a bit too much. So I'm just going to reduce this a little bit. And then on the phone here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to reduce that a little bit. So I'm pretty much happy with that. Then back over here to the desktop. Great. So I'm going to save this. And then the next stage now is to add our background. Okay, so let's come over here to the top left and click on section settings. So here on the background, I'm going to click here on this background. And you will notice that if I drag this slider all the way down, we are going to now have black. Now, the reason why we have black now is because I've added on full transparency. And because our page is black, it has a black color, this is what is showing through. Great. So I'm pretty much happy with that. So the next thing is to come over here to my gradient. So I'm going to click this plus button, and as you can see, my gradient has been applied. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start off with this red. Okay, so in your case, you can just use a color from your branding guideline. So in this case, I'm just going to use that red, and then on the second color here, I'm just going to drag all this slider all the way down. Now, of course, if I drag all this all the way down, it's going to seep through black, because black is the background color for our page. Okay, so that's looking good. So now that we have our gradient, I'm just going to save this for now, and then we're going to go in and change our text colors. So I'm going to start off here with the top, turn that into white. So I'm going to come over here to design, text, change that to white, save. Next, I'm going to come to the Black Friday 2018. Click here on design, text, click that on white. And then the next color here is going to be heading 3. So I'm just going to click this little brush tool here, and that takes me straight to heading 3. I'm going to click here on white. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to add a drop shadow. So I'm going to click here to add my drop shadow. So as you can see, it has been added subtly onto Mega Sale. Okay, so back over here on text, I'm going to do the same thing, scroll down and add my drop shadow. So that's looking really, really nice. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and we might as well add the drop shadow on the get ready there on the top. So I'm going to click here on this gear icon, click on design, and I'm going to go onto my text, scroll all the way down, add my drop shadow. Okay, great. So now that we have this all set, this is looking great. So we need some sort of description of what this mega sale is about. So I'm going to click here on this plus button and add another module. So this is going to be a text module. I'm going to select it here. So this is going to be our text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some dummy text here from Lorem 2. And then I'm just going to come back over here and replace our text. Right, so now let's customize this. So first of all, I'm going to come over here to design, text. We're going to make this white so that it becomes easier to read on this background. Okay, so I'm going to turn this to white. And then over here on default, I'm going to turn this into Poppins, which is our font that we are using. And then I'm going to increase the size here, okay, to about, say, 18. Right, so pretty much happy with that. I'm going to increase my line height here. Right, so the next stage now is to scroll down here and make sure that this is centered. And then I am going to reduce the size of that width. So I'm going to come over here to sizing, and then I'm going to reduce this a little bit. Yeah, maybe 78% is good. I'm going to center it. Okay, so that's looking good. Now I can go ahead and save. So now we have some sort of context to our page. So this is the description that just talks about what this is about. Now you notice that we have a bit of space on the between these two modules. So what we need to do now is to go here and reduce that space. So I'm going to click here on design, spacing, and then here for on the margin bottom, I'm just going to decrease this to about, let's say, 28. And then I just want to make sure that everything looks great on the tablet and the phone. Okay, so that looks fine. I'm happy with that. And that looks okay on the phone as well. Okay, great. Now, the next stage is to either add our video or our countdown timer. So I'm going to save this for now, and then I'm going to click, let's add a new row. Okay, so I'm going to click here on this plus button. We're going to add a single row. And then we're going to search for our countdown timer. Select that. Right, so by default, this countdown timer comes with this color. So what we need to do now is to get rid of that color and add our own color. Or in fact, in this case, we need to make it transparent. So we're going to click here on background and delete this. Okay, or you can just drag the slider all the way down until there's no color. Okay, so on the top here, we need to give this a meaningful title. So let's come over here to our text. So we're going to say sale ends in, and then of course that's the countdown. So I'm just going to add my text here. So you may notice that I'm typing all this in small letters. I'm just going to go in later on in the design tab and change that to all caps. Right. So now that I have this all set, I'm going to come over here to design, and then I'm going to go to my title text. So here I'm going to make it all caps, and then it's centered. So that's fine. And then all the way down here, I'm just going to decrease the size a little bit to maybe about 20. And then we're going to adjust our font. So here we have it as default. We need that in Poppins. And then over here on our font weight, let's make this semi-bold. And I'm going to add some letter spacing here. Okay. Now moving on. So the countdown timer itself, again, I'm going to change my font to Poppins. And okay, I mean, that doesn't need to be all caps anyway, it's numbers. And then over here, this is where we can adjust our size. So you can either make it a bit smaller if you want to, but it doesn't have to be really big, to be honest. So I think 42 is great. Now over here for this days, hours, and minutes, I don't really want that on there. So I'm just going to click this brush icon, and then I'm going to come over here to the color and drag the slider all the way down so that it fades into the background. So now you can see that all that is gone. Okay, so that's looking great. So the only addition I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a border around this. So I'm going to come over here and let's add a border. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 pixel and let's add our border color. Now, as you can see, that is like really in your face. That's a bit too much. So I'm just going to reduce the opacity a little bit here. So I'm just going to drag this down like that. Okay, so I think that looks better. Okay, so I'm pretty much happy with that. Again, if you want to go in and adjust perhaps maybe the size of this actual module, you can actually go do that by coming over here to sizing and then adjusting the width. So as you can see, as I'm dragging this, it's getting smaller. So let's make it 80% in fact, and just center this. Okay, so that's looking great. We're going to go ahead and save. Now, moving on, the next thing we're going to do now is to add a bit of padding over here on the top. So I'm going to click here on my section settings, design. We're going to come over here to sizing. In fact, it's spacing. What am I talking about? Right. So I'm just going to drag this dial up like that. So if you see that these numbers are getting way too much, sometimes it's just easier to add a percentage. So now I've added 10%. So I think that's enough space there on the top, and I'm pretty much happy with that. Okay, so let's save. Now, the other thing that you can also do to our design here is perhaps maybe add a video that just pretty much enhances or talks about this actual Black Friday sale. So let's do that by adding a new row. We're going to make it a single column, and let's add our video like that. Right, so by default, we're going to get this video here. So what I normally do is if I wanted to add my own video here, you can add your own by clicking here in this on this gear icon. And then where it says insert from URL, this is where you'd add your URL to your video promo. Okay, so in our example here, I'm just going to leave things basic. I'm just going to leave this as it is. And then over here on the overlay, this is where you can add your overlay image. So it's really a good idea here to add an image which goes with whatever it is that you're trying to promote. So let's say this is about fashion in this case, or you're trying to sell some products online. So you can just go with an image that promotes that. So I'm just going to go with this image right here. Okay, so I'm going to click upload an image. Okay, so now we have our image. I'm going to go ahead and, in fact, before I save, you may want to maybe even change the size of this video. So to do that, you can always come over here to design, sizing, and then reduce this maybe to about 70% and center it. Okay, so that'll be our promo video. Great. Now, the other thing that you can also do is maybe have these this video and this countdown timer side by side just to reduce the height of this page. But we're just going to keep things basic here. I'm just going to go ahead and save. But of course, I'm just mentioning that because that could be an option that you want to go with. Okay, so moving on. The next thing we're going to add now is a new section. So I'm going to click here on this plus button, click on regular, and we are going to get, let's add 2 columns for our design here. And in each column, we're going to have a text module. So I'm just going to select it here like that. So as you can see here, it comes in with this dummy text. So I'm just going to add our own. So I'm just going to copy it here from Lorem 2 and then back over here onto our page. I'm just going to paste it here. Right. So the reason why I'm adding this is because I want this to be maybe a bonus that you could be adding here. But of course, it's up to you, whatever text you want to add here to emphasize your Black Friday sale. Okay, so with that in place, I'm going to go ahead and save changes. And then I'm just going to go in and customize this. But before I do that, I'm going to add a background image here. So I'm going to click here on my section settings, click on background, and then I'm going to come over here to my third tab. Click this plus button to add my image. And the image I'm going to go with here is just this crowd of people, really excited about the Black Friday sale. So I'm going to click here on upload an image. Okay, so now my image is in place. That looks great. But what I want to do here is to blend this image between these two sections to make it seem like it's one design. So to achieve that, you need to come over here to the second tab, click this plus button here. And let's add our gradient. So I'm going to start here with black for the top. And then for my second color here, I'm just going to drag the slider all the way down. Okay. And then you want to place your gradient above the image, just like that. Now you can do your finer tuning here as you add your content onto this section. So we're just going to leave things okay for now as it is. And then we're going to come back and make some adjustments. Right. So I'm going to go ahead now and save that. Now we're going to add another section here, another row, and this time it's going to be a single column and it's going to be a text module just to give this section a title. So we're going to say more bonuses here. Okay, so that's our title there. We're going to come over here to design, text. We're going to make sure that it's all caps. Our font is going to be Poppins. And then over here, we're going to increase the size a little bit to about 26. I know you can't see it. I'm going to change the color here to white. So now you can see here that it's much easier to read. So over here on the font weight, we're going to change this to bold. We might as well increase the size a little bit here. So to emphasize that we have bonuses there. Okay. And then next, we're going to make sure that the text orientation here is set to centered. And then I'm going to save that and then drag this to the top. Okay, so now those are more bonuses. Okay, so over here now on the bottom, let's go in and make some adjustments to our text module. So I'm going to go into my module settings. So the first thing I'm going to do here is to come over here to design text and change the text color here to white. My font is going to be Poppins. Increase the size a little bit. Make it easier to read. So I think 17 is great. Okay, so now that we have this, the next thing we're going to do is to add a background color to this text module. Okay, so let's come over here to content, click on background, and then we're going to add our color. So we're going to start off here as black, and then we're going to reduce our opacity up to about maybe 34 or maybe even 37. Okay, just enough to see through what is happening here in the background. Okay, so next, as you can see here, our text is way too close to the edges. So we want to fix that by coming over here to design and then clicking on spacing. So here we want to add custom padding both to the top and the bottom and then left and right. So you can see here I'm activating these chains. This is because I want my values to be added to both to the top and the bottom. So here we've got 20 to the top, 20 to the bottom. And you can see here as I'm doing this here on the left and right, it's also applying my sizes. So that looks really, really nice. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and save. Now all I have to do is to duplicate this a few times and then just drag these into position just by doing that. And this one needs to come over here. Okay, so it depends how many bonuses you have. If you have, let's say 6, you can just continue adding that like that. So now you can see here that this top part is blending into this gradient, which is really, really cool. Okay, right. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into my section settings here, click on background, and then let's adjust our gradient. Okay, so this is where you can play around with your start position. So now you can see here as I'm increasing this to 10%, it's adding more black here to the top, which is what I really want. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and save. Right, so this is pretty much our page. It's looking really nice, but we are going to turn this into something a bit more exciting. I know I have a video here, so this is an option for those of you that want to just keep it simple and have a promo video. So this could be pretty much done. You have your sale here, you have your video, and you have your bonuses right there. Okay, so that could be the final design of your page. But what we're going to do here is we're going to add some images that just go across this area here, as I've shown you in our demo page. Okay, so pretty much what we're trying to achieve here is something that looks like this. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. So over here, we are going to delete this module, and then we're going to click this little icon here to add our column structure, and we're going to go with 5 images. So I'm going to click here on these 5 columns. Okay. Now we want our columns to pretty much stretch across the width of our page. And to achieve that, we want to come over here to our row settings. Okay. So in our row settings here, you go to design, sizing. You just need to make sure that this is full width, and then use custom gutter width. We want to make sure that this is set to 1. In fact, before I set it to 1, I just want to show you why this custom gutter width is very important, because this is the space between the columns. Okay, so I'm just going to save this for now, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So let's start by adding our modules. So I'm going to click this plus button here, and this are all going to be our image modules. I'm going to select it, and then I'm just going to click anywhere on this area here. And then we're going to start adding our images. So I'm going to start off with this one here, upload an image, and then I'm going to save that. So I'm just going to duplicate this a few times and then just drag this image into position like that. We may want to do this one more because we need 5 images. So I'm going to drag this into position. Right. So when I was talking about the gutter width, this is what I meant. You see this spacing here that we have? That's the gutter width. So let's go in and fix that. So I'm going to click here on my row settings. Okay. Click on design. And then we're going to come over here to sizing. Okay. So if we reduce this gutter width to 1, you notice that the gaps are gone. So this is exactly what we need to achieve. The next thing we need to do is to come over here to use custom width. And we want to make sure that this is set to percentage and this is stretching all the way to 100%. So that means we won't have any spaces over there on the edges. Okay, so that's great. We're going to save. Now it's time to go in and add our images. So I'm just going to click here on this gear icon, and then click on the image, and then this is where you get to start adding all your images. So I'm going to click upload an image, and now you can see it's a different one. We come over here to this one here, click on the gear icon, and then I'm going to add my next image. So I'm going to go with this one here, upload an image, save that. Okay, do the same thing, add our image here. I'm going to go with this one. Save that, and then the final image here is going to be this one. Upload an image. Okay, so now that we have all our images that we need and they're all going across our page, and that looks really, really nice. The next thing we need to do now is to just make sure you want to link these images to whatever page it is on your website. So this could be maybe a page that's maybe selling this jacket, and the jacket obviously has a discount because of the Black Friday sale. So this is where you can just go in and tweak that. So this is where you get to add your link. So you're going to click here, and you can add your link URL in here. So in this case, I'm just going to add Divi University there. And for my image target, you can open it in the same window or open it in a new tab. I prefer opening in a new tab because then people won't need to hit the back button to go back to the website. Okay, so now with that, I'm going to click on save, and pretty much this is our page. This is our Black Friday promotion page. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to save this as a template. So if you want to use this in your own designs, save you going through step by step to design this, I'm going to leave a link where you can download this layout. Okay, so pretty much this is how you design your Black Friday promo page. So now I'm going to click on save. And then we're going to exit the visual builder and take a final look at our design. There we go. So this is our final design. So there you have it. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell notification, because this channel is all about building awesome websites and also sharing techniques on how to make your website earn you money. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.